excited to show you my process of how I made this dress. It is a bubble dress with a beautiful tulle bow. It is a bustier dress, yes, of course. I'm very excited to show you my process. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure to follow me on my socials at CerinasBoutique, Instagram and TikTok, and of course YouTube. Subscribe, turn on that notification bell. I try to post every 2 to 3 weeks of a new design. Both Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube I post, frequently. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. On this dress, I'm trying to sew it together in the next 2 days I think 2 days, but it's not full days, so I'll come back to how many hours I end up spending on this. But yeah, so I got the pieces all cut out. So I have the shell. Well, I think this one's this is the shell. This is the outer part of the cup. So the cup has a left one and then a right one, and then the top one, I marked them left and right so I don't get that confused. And then I have my back panels. That's the shell, and then this is the lining, so same exact pieces and everything. And I have my skirts under here. So I have my outer skirt, which is going to get gathered into the lining of the skirt. So it's beautiful orange fabric, and the next step is to sew these cups together. So these little pieces get sewn together, and then it matches the top up here, and that gets sewn together, and then it gets set into this hole. So that's what I'm gonna go do, and I will come back. This is what the cups look like after I sewed them. So I sewed along this seam and along this seam, and on the back I made sure to iron, press these seams down, and I cut into the seam to help release some of that tension as best as I could, because it is a curve right there, as you can see, so it holds a good amount of tension. This is the shell, this is the lining, and I did want to show you that I used a bra cup. This is a push-up bra cup. It's a cup, and I just used this to get that shape that I wanted at the top of the bra cup because I couldn't sketch it myself. So I just picked this up from Hobby Lobby and traced it out. Okay, so if you knew anything about sewing or you sew bra cups yourself, you probably looked at this and you're like, girl, Serena, that is not gonna work. And yeah, you were right. I don't know why, but I thought that if I had it flat, it would be okay because my body would fill it out. That's not how it works. I don't know why I thought that. But so this is not good. Next time I will try to make it angular when I pattern draft it, so then it's 3D when I sew it. I don't have to think about it. But I somehow managed to get this from this. So basically what I did to achieve these cups from these flat, sad cups is I took the seam line right here and I measured 1 inch in and I marked it. Then I went up from the side and I measured 1.5 inches and I marked it. And I created a straight diagonal line from point A and point B. And then from there, as you can imagine, it would be very pointy. So then I thought in my head, how am I going to diffuse that point? So what I decided to do was to measure 5/8 down. No, it was 6/8. 6/8 down from this straight line right here. So 6/8. And then I measured 1 inch from that inch line, so like somewhere over there. And then I created a concave curve to help diffuse that corner so it's not so pointy and weird and coney. So that is what I did, and I did that on both sides to achieve that. Don't recommend you to do it that way, but if you also messed up, it's a great way to fix it. And my original reason for doing this, and that's how I got these weird 1 inch and 1.5 inch measurements, was because this seam line was off. I wanted it to be like lower than the bodice point here. I have the mock-up right here. So I wanted it to be like this. It was just funny because I did a mock-up and it worked, but I don't know if it's like the interfacing or what and why it didn't work like this. But this also is wrong, so it wouldn't have worked either way. So I'm glad I kind of was forced to put it into a 3D form. Yeah, so at this seam line, I wanted it down here, not up here, so it could be in the bodice and not hanging at the top. So that's why I had to fix it, because it was off in the first place. And then I realized doing that made it 3D, and I was like, wow, this is cool. I didn't know I needed this in my life. So that's really the only reason why I figured out that I probably should not have done it so flat and maybe pattern draft it differently, like angled these lines in more to help ease that in and maybe get a 3D shape. So next time I will try that instead of making it completely flat, because that is a dumb idea. But we're here now and I fixed it. Now I'm going to do what I did here to the lining pieces. After I finished sewing the cups together, I went ahead and set them into the bodice. This is the shell, and then this is the lining. So for my advice would be, don't try to pin this in place and then sew it, because this is a really tight curve, so it's really hard to sew. It's really difficult. So what I found is pinning maybe the first half of what you're going to be sewing, so this side or whatever, this side, and then sewing it to where the bodice is the thing you see on top and not the cup. So the cup should be underneath while you're sewing, and just pin half of it and then freestyle the other half. That's gonna make it easier for you to just manually curve that in because it's so steep. So yeah, that's what I have, and then I'm going to add the back panels onto these right here, and then I will be sewing them all the way around together on top of each other, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. This is the end result of the bodice. So I went ahead and sewed the right sides together with the shell and the lining all across this top seam here to close the edges. And then what I did, well, before that I sewed on these backs pieces as well, and after that I top stitched this by 1/4 inch all the way around there. So I think it's a beautiful little number here. And now the next step is to work on the skirt. The skirt panels look like this. So this is the center front on folds, and then this is the back panel, and this is the center back right here, and that's where the zipper will go through. And this is the side seam. So I'm going to sew the side seams on both sides real quick. Alright, so this is what the skirt, the bubble skirt, looks like. So basically what you do is you take that lining, and you should have a long piece, a long rectangle piece. That will be your outer fabric. And you take the bottom of that long rectangle, you gather it into the lining, the bottom lining, and then you will gather it into that, and you'll sew it right sides together, and then you'll flip it up, alright? And then you'll gather the top part of the long rectangle and then just baste it to the lining, and then yeah, now you have a bubble skirt. And what I did to give this more dimension, you see how there's more things happening into the skirt. So what I did is I just basically did some random pleats throughout to give it that random look. So you can see here there's some pleats and some folding happening in there, but you won't really see it the pleats as accurately, I guess, when I sew that 5/8 down from the top, so you won't really see it too much. But yeah, it just gives it some more momentum, and then I'm debating on adding them to this side, so to push it up like that to just give it some more momentum, but I will decide that at the end. This is what the skirt looks like. As you can see, I basted in those pleats, and I basted these two sides together and overlocked them in a sense with my sewing machine. And I overlocked the sides, all the sides that are visible on the bodice as well. So now I'm going to attach that to that. Okay, so this is what it looks like after I sewed in that middle seam right there. So the next step is just to add the zipper. So I'm going to go do that. Since I sewed this dress in under 8 hours, or at least majority of it, I didn't film everything, but I did add a bow, a tulle bow, which you may have already seen, but I just cut out 19-inch squares. I cut out 4 of them, stacked them together, squeezed it down the middle, and then hand sewed that together. Then I cut out 2 strips. I don't remember how long or wide they were because I made this in under 10 minutes, but they were fairly long and fairly wide. And then I wrapped that around the bow, hand sewed it, and then I hand sewed the entire bow to the dress. Thank you for making it to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed my process. Again, make sure to follow me on my socials at CerinasBoutique, Instagram and TikTok, and of course YouTube. Subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and don't forget to like and comment, of course. And make sure to go check out my other videos because I have more designs to share. And yeah, I can't wait to see you in the next one.